What is up, you guys? Geeka here, back with another video, and we are working on the 95 Jeep YJ over here, and we are gonna do a transmission swap is the plan for today. And I already got the parts. We got it a week ago, and just yesterday, 6 days later, I found the transmission, some stock leaf springs, which I'm gonna try and figure out how I can make them to where it still stays kind of lifted, and maybe just use the main leaf and swap over the other leaves. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but I still need shackles, so that's gonna be probably another video. Right now we're going to do the transmission. I found it for 280 bucks. AX5 is what it takes. Go ahead and show you guys that. So, paid 280 for this bad boy right here. Looks like it's decent. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. Sorry. Alright, so it's pretty decent. There's first, second, third, which was slipping on mine, fourth, and fifth, and then it's hard to do this one-handed. Reverse is right there. And these are the leaf springs. I got all four with the shocks. They're still in the car with some shocks that only had like 5,000 miles, but everything was stock. And yeah, so all we did was take this off to inspect it. Another thing I found out after the test drive, I took this apart and I found out that it was indeed in 4 low, and it wasn't switched to neutral or too high, so that's probably why it felt a little weird. But I took it back out for another test drive, and I found out that the third gear was still slipping. What pretty much happens is, so it goes into third gear, but it does absolutely nothing to just high revs, and that's about it. So all I did was take apart the cover, the bolts that go right here. So there's 1, 2, and then on this side, over here there's another one. And then over here there's another one. So you can kind of see, you can see that one. This one's under that hose right here. So you're going to take off those. You don't necessarily have to do this step if you're going to take it, drop it down. But I wanted to get the 4-wheel drive shifter out of the way, because obviously the new one doesn't come with it. And pretty much I wanted to pull that off, leave it here basically for when I'm taking out the other one, and this is all coming off as a complete. Or if I can, I'm gonna try and take this off here so it's not, in the way. And oh, that scared me. I thought that was a hole. I was like, is that rust? It's just scraped up a little bit. Whew. I was like, oh god. I turned one down because it had rust on it. This one has like this, but that's like very minimal. The other one had like holes in the rocker side right here, and it was really bad. I was like, what the hell's going on? And even on like the tow hitch in the back, everything like that had something off with it, so it was bad. Anyways, right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the drive shafts. This one I'm probably just gonna leave hanging there. I'm just going to remove it from the transfer case. First you got to drop down this, then I'll do that, and then I'll take off this one and slide it back. And I believe that's all we have to do for that. I'm hoping that the muffler is not going to be an issue, and I could just slide it back over the muffler. But if it is, then unfortunately we're probably going to have to tear that thing off. You guys could see there how bad that leaf spring is. It's pretty bad. Hoping that the axle's good, but it drove fine. I didn't hear any weird noises or nothing. But so I need to remove those, and make sure you put some support on the transmission, because pretty much this is the center support brace for that transmission. So you want to make sure that thing's not just gonna be hanging off the front engine bolts that it's going on to up there that we have to loosen. So basically this is the mount, this is the center support brace. So you want to make sure you have something holding it up before you start taking these off. But that's what we're gonna get started with, you guys. Then we'll move on to the drive shaft. So let's get going. All right, you guys, I got the bottom tray down. I did it real quick because it's pretty hot, but I used a Torx or a Hex 8, number 8, and a 16 millimeter long bolt or long socket. It wasn't hard. I did it in probably like 5-10 minutes. Just make sure, like how I said, you have your transmission supported up here. I'm even thinking about putting another jack stand in the back and just working in the middle of it, but I don't know how good that's going to be because I'm not going to have a whole lot of room. But we got this far done so far. It didn't take very long. We're obviously getting into the worst of it, which is the drive shafts, and then just taking the bolts off of the trans to the engine. And I'll see if I can get a little bit closer of that. Sorry the weird angle, but the tripod that I had broke, so it's not very good. I have it sitting on a little stool. But I'll try to get you guys a better angle from under here, and then that way you guys can see everything and see how difficult it's going to be. I'll try and record a little bit more as much as I can. Like how I said, it's pretty hot, and I have the water cooler going. So the swamp cooler is just, you know, a lot of noise, so I'm just trying to get this thing done, but I'll show you guys little clips of everything going on with it, okay? Stay tuned. So we got the rear drive shaft out, you guys. Just so you know, it is going to leak a little bit of trans fluid when you pop it off the rear of the transmission. Be aware of that. I put a oil pan down. This one, on the other hand, I'm not sure yet, but I just want to let you guys know that I did have to put a pry bar at the front because this thing was just twisting back and forth every time I try to loosen the bolt. I don't know if that's normal. Hopefully nothing's wrong with the front axle. But hopefully that's fine. I don't know if that's normal because I try to put it in like 4 low, 4 high. I'm not sure about this 4x4 stuff, you guys. I'm not new to it, but I don't know a lot about it at all. I do know a thing here or two, but yeah, just so you guys know, right now I'm just finishing off taking these last bolts. Another recommendation I was going to do is I'm not going to disconnect it from the front of the axle. I'm just going to disconnect it from the transfer case, because what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to disconnect the transfer case first up here so I can lower it with the jack stand down, since I'm doing this on my garage. And it's going to be, I think this weighs like 50 pounds. Transmission weighs like 75. I unloaded it and loaded it in my Jeep without needing help, so it should be okay for me to do on my own. Little tip I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bungee, and I'm going to put take off the drive shaft from here from these 4 bolts. Also, they are 8mm bolts. I thought they were 10s, so it's 4 8mm bolts on the back. Push the drive shaft in a little bit towards the trans, and then it should slide out all the way. And same thing for this one, it is 8mm bolts, so I'm going to finish taking that off, and I'm going to pretty much hold it off to the side over here, so I don't have to take it off to the front. I don't think it should be in the way, but if it is, then I'll just remove it, I guess. But here we are. Make sure it doesn't come and hit you in the face, you know. You just slide it forward a little bit, or up, and it'll come out. And then we got my bungee strap here. So put it to the side. Wrap it around a couple of times so it's not hanging down too far. There we go. Out the way. Keep the pry bar there, it's not going to cause any harm. Obviously nothing leaked out of here. I forgot there was a nail right here, so don't worry about that. The only other thing you're going to have to do is remove the shift linkage on this side, which is for the 4-wheel drive, so it could separate the transfer case and lower that down. I believe it's just a 10mm bolt, but I can't really see right now. If not, I think it just pops off. But yeah, you're going to want to remove the whole like shifter That's what I was saying earlier. So then that way you can pop it off and push it out to the driver's side, and then that way it'll free up the transfer case without when you loosen up all the bolts for the transfer case, and then that way the shifter is going to be still holding it on to the transmission. So we're going to do that. Wow. I realized there's not from the shifter. The muffler actually looks like it has a little mount right here on the side of the transmission mount where the exhaust is on here. So I didn't realize that. I guess I'm gonna have to figure out. I'll probably just take off the whole mount from here, so this isn't holding on to it either. But yeah, the transfer case, which has about I believe there's 16 millimeter bolts also, or nuts. So then you can remove the transfer case, push it back out, and not be in the way of getting the transmission out, and then that way everything's a little bit less heavier. Like how I said, this one weighs 50 pounds, I believe, and then the transmission actually weighs like 75. The transmission, or if you have a transmission jack, that would be great. I'm using this profile Pittsburgh jack, but I think I could just have my brother-in-law lower it while I kind of guide it down. But that's what we're going to be doing right now. There's a lot of other little things that you're going to have to take off over here. Also on the transmission, you're going to have to take off, I believe this is the master cylinder, and there's about 6 to 8 bolts also on the top of the transmission all over, which you can get better access through it if you remove that shield on the top where the shifter is through the actual inside of the Jeep. You can gain access to there's I think 3 or 4 bolts at the very top, so in that way you can just back it up and get it out. Yeah, I'm going to remove the mount now, and then I'll figure out the shift linkage over here, and then I'll probably move the camera as close as I can so you guys can see what's going on with this. Okay, so I think I figured out how I need to do this to take off. This is the shift linkage that I was telling you. And so right here, I'm loosening this bolt, which there's this little L-shaped piece that goes to the transfer case, and this stays onto the transmission. I need to release this bolt to either release the shifter with the transfer case, or take off this bolt to release this part of it, and then this will stay here with the transmission, and then that little L-shaped piece right here, the linkage, is gonna stay with the transfer case. So I'm gonna try this first, and then if not, I'm gonna start loosening up the bolts. This is a 13 millimeter, and then this one is a 14 millimeter. I thought they were a lot bigger than that. There are 14 millimeters that are holding on the transfer case. I believe it's 6 of them all around. So I'm gonna do this real quick, and then I'll let you guys know the result of what I had to do to get this off. Alright? Alright guys, so I loosened up pretty much all the bolts off of the transfer case except for 2, and it does have 6, and I ended up having to take the bolt that holds on the shift linkage right here to this, and then also the one that was right here, I loosened it up to get this brought down. So I think this is gonna have to go down with the transfer case, and that's the only way. And I left on 2 bolts, like I said, just pretty much so I can get under it, and then I loosen them up, finish and loosen them up, and then get them all out. Also, there's a little line, I don't think you can see from here barely. There's this little line, and then there's a plug that's right here. You just can't really see because this is in the way, but you can barely see the plug there. You just pull that one off, the line I'm about to take off right now, and there is another sensor. I think you can see it from back here, right there. You disconnect that, so when you bring it down, it's not getting caught on anything. So right now I'm going to loosen up the other 2 bolts and get the other jack under here and pull it out, hopefully. Okay? Alright guys, moment of truth. Everything is off. Just going to jack it up just a little bit, make sure everything's centered. Doesn't fall down. And all I'm going to do is slide it out. Here, I think I'm going to I'm just scared it's gonna go back. Fall. Crazy. Okay, it's free. It's kind of holding on there. Just lower it slowly. Should leak it. Okay, I guess it's going that way. I'm gonna let it probably drain right here. That was gonna get sketchy real quick, you guys. Oh, there we go. Oh no. Alright, now it got kind of sketchy real quick. Alright, I'm gonna leave it right there. Looks like we made an oil of a mess. But it got down safely, so we're good. I'm gonna just go on that side and just slide it out then. There we go. Sitting down. I guess it was gonna happen, right? Alright, you guys, another day. We're back. We got a lot done though yesterday. We got the center support off. We got the drive shafts off, and then we got the transfer case off. And as you guys can see, the transmission is just there. So that's the last thing we need to get off. I think there's like that's on there obviously. I think that was it actually, now that I think about it. I'm gonna just try and get the shifter off through the top, so then that way it doesn't get hung up on anything down here when it's coming down. If you guys see that over there, I actually purchased a ATV jack just to get this out. I also wanted to get one just because I know it's gonna be something useful around here. It's kind of bulky, but I got a sweet deal on it. I paid $45 for it, and the guy even brought it to my house, so that's a sweet deal. Okay, so we got most of the bolts off, transmission, and we got these two bolts off. They were 13 millimeters, or no, actually they were ½ inch. So they were, what is it, metric? They were standard, which was kind of weird. But the other ones on the transmission are 18s. So they're 18s. They came off fairly easily, besides the 1-2 up there at the very top. You take off this cover from the shifter, and it gives you a little bit of a opening to look in through there, which it still took me probably the most time. The rest of them I was able to break loose and then just turn them a couple of times and then hand untighten them, and then yeah, they were all good to go. So that looks like it's all that's holding on the transmission. I also saw this little sensor. I'm not sure what that is, but I need to take that off. That looks like two 10 millimeter bolts, and then we pretty much have it all the way down. What I'm gonna do is, since the exhaust is barely gonna touch it right there, I'm gonna lift it up like 2 inches and then pull it back and then drop it down. So we're gonna go ahead and do that in just a bit. Let me finish taking nails off, and then we'll go ahead and get it going so you guys can see this going down. I'm not sure what this is. Okay, I think they're 12. Alright, you guys, yeah, I'm stupid because the dust shield is pretty much covering it from the flywheel. Obviously that stays stuck to the engine, and then that's inside the dust shield where the bell housing is to this cover, and unless you take that off, it's going to allow them to separate, because if not, then the shield won't let it surpass to the other side. You know what I mean? So that's all it was. I'm like 1000% sure. 1000% sure, you guys. I always say this, and I always mean it because I'm no professional. I'm honestly really surprised, you guys, that I have gotten as far as I have without going to school for any of this stuff. And I think just that alone is pretty fantastic. So now let's get this thing out. Using a pry bar to go from one side to the other, but it's only gonna work for so long. It's just me, but I feel like when it's lower, it's like it's coming out easier than when it's higher. Man. I think it's about figuring out the angle to get it out of here. After you got that down, not that bad. Oh yeah, see, now it's a little bit more wobbly when it's lower. Alright, we got it out. You guys, my battery died, and yeah, you guys didn't get to see it, but all I pretty much did was held up the bell housing, pushed it over the exhaust, and then held it on the other side of the exhaust, the back end, while I slowly put down the ATV jack over here. One thing I would recommend is putting it straight back, but then it's going to be hard to lower it if you're going to do this option. Definitely recommend using a transmission jack though, and also having a second person would be a great option to have. But there it is. It's pretty much all the way down. I'm just gonna pull it out of there now, and I'll let you guys see that. So you can see up there, it's leaking pretty bad. Looks like it's been leaking for a minute. It's real rough. Honestly, you guys, I've never in my life replaced a clutch. I don't know what to look for, but I'm almost curious to see if I should swap it out also, just since I'm already here. But yeah, that's where we're at. I don't know how good or bad it looks. I might ask my dad to come take a look. Let me know. He's definitely swapped a couple of clutches in his day. There's a lot more manual now. Well, back then than there is now. But yeah, you guys, there's a big oil of a mess up there. So I think that's where we're gonna leave off, you guys. So definitely a lot of progress, even though it was a little rough. So definitely, you guys, a lot of progress. I think this is where we're gonna leave off. I'll do a part 2, me installing the trans and doing everything else all over again, but vice versa. This is gonna be the same thing, just all the steps backwards, but I'll probably just do a video, just probably not in that much detail. I want to recommend you having some help. 2 people would help. Obviously, 1 person is possible, totally doable. I think it took me in total see. I worked on it yesterday for an hour and a half. In an hour and a half, I got out. I was able to get out the crossmember, the two drive shafts off, the transfer case off, and then pretty much started removing the top of the shifter so I can gain access through there. And then today, all I did was finish removing the actual shifter part of the trans to get it down and not have it in the way. And then also, obviously, we removed the trans. There was 8 bolts, the 2 or 13 millimeters that went to the clutch cylinder, the slave cylinder there, and then the other 2 11 millimeter bolts that were on the left side of the bell housing. I'm not even sure what that is. I think it's probably like a speed sensor, to be honest. And then that's about it. I think that's all we did. But yeah, I think finessing it out of with the shaft from out of the clutch was the worst part of it. Even getting the bolts off of the bell housing were not as bad as I thought. Once you broke them loose, at least mine, I was able to turn them all the way off by hand. And then you could take all of them out as long as you have something supporting it, and then it'll stay where it's supposed to be at least it did it on mine. And then after that, just add the jack under there and make sure it has enough support, and then start wiggling that thing out. But like how I said, second person would help. That way you're not running back and forth like how I was. But again, I didn't know how to tackle this. I think having that transmission jack that rolls like freely everywhere would have helped, because the one that I have, I just got an ATV jack. I got it for $45 from OfferUp. So I'm like, at least I know I could use it on the ATVs later on also. And I couldn't find a transmission jack locally here that was like fairly cheap. They were all really ridiculously expensive, except Harbor Freight. And I believe I had called yesterday and they didn't have any in stock anywhere near me. So I think they were like almost about to be discontinued or something like that. So I guess maybe I dodged the bullet. They weren't even probably that good anyways. But yeah, I think it's doable. It wasn't as horrible as I thought it was going to be, but it was a little bit worse than I thought. But yeah, you guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys gained some tips on, taking this stuff out. Another thing also is obviously you want to take off the positive cable or the negative cable off your battery in case there's anything, wires-wise, so you don't burn anything out. And then also remove all the fluids. Definitely would help not making a mess also. So there's that. But yeah, you guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And we're in the new garage and we're getting some stuff done, even though it's July 11th and it's 114 degrees, I believe, in here, 112, give or take. I have the swamp cooler and a fan, but I'm still in here, you guys. We're going to get stuff done, and hopefully in a month or two, this thing's going to be looking different. But stay tuned, you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Peace, y'all.